Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the MMA Huddle, and we are live. As you can see, next to me is the handsome Nate Diaz picture. Oh, I'm Will. I'm Will's here too. It's great to have Will back. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely, like Will is, stoked. UFC 259 is horrendously stacked. It's disgusting how the fear is of all the bloody Vegas fights that get pulled. That's the only thing we've got to fear right now. It's can this fight card stay together? Because if it does, we are all in for a treat. This card is so well put together and made up. I hope you all enjoyed the card last week. Garnet obviously had an enthralling bout with Rosenstruck. Won't lie, I don't know how the heck that went that long in the fight. I was gutted, but either way, not a bad card, Will. Before you talk, Will, before everyone else joins in the conversation, as always, we're live. Give us your picks, give us your thoughts. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We're getting new subscribers all the time, so it means a lot to me and Will. And obviously, feel free to share this if you're watching live. Now, Will, you watched last week's card, I'm sure. It doesn't compare to this card, but how are you feeling about this card coming up mainly, bro?
It's just a great card. It's like we were talking about this before we come on live here, and it's just like I'm invested in fights from the very start of the night right to the very top, and that's what pay-per-view should really be all about, is kind of selling points throughout the card, not just the main card, which you're kind of paying for in the end. But 15 fights. If we get 15 fights, I think we'll be very lucky. So hopefully some of the ones that are kind of least anticipated kind of fall off. But like I say, they're good fights. I'm really looking forward to it. The 3 championship fights are huge. And then you've got young guys coming through with the kind of old guard as well. It's a really fine mix of fights and good matchmaking as well. So thoroughly looking forward to talking some fights.
Now, like I said before, if you've not subscribed, do so. But before we kick off the card, bro, I want to say congratulations to the Cardinals on getting hold of Mr. Watt. That is an insane. He is one of the we're going a bit NFL for a second, folks, because Will messaged me before. I didn't see the announcement. That's insane, bro. You must be absolutely stoked to get someone like that in your team because, man, he is a great player, JJ Watt. One of the many great free agents up this year.
Yeah, no, I did not expect that. I was like, I literally looked at the second it was announced and I was like, JJ Watt's come to the card. I was like, no way. So I had a look and I'm thinking, JJ Watt on one side, Chandler Jones on the other. I'm like, that's not bad. But then I've kind of had a little bit of time to stew in it. I'm like, they're paying him, what, 32 million or something, 31 million.
Yeah, 50 million a year.
And I'm thinking the guy's had a lot of injuries the past couple of years. I'm like, this could be a load of money that we could possibly be kept for other things. But like I say, obviously the Cardinals are looking forward and they're wanting to make big wholesale changes and big strides forward in the division that we're in because we need it, because the Seahawks are going to be there. The Rams are going to be there, and the Niners are never too far away from getting back to where they were at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So really happy that JJ Watt's there. Hopefully we can get a full season out of him and see if he can make a big difference.
Exactly. And like you say, bro, there's loads of free agents as well. Prescott's a free agent, Trent Williams, Allen Robinson, there was Chris Godwin, there's Shaquille Barrett, Aaron Jones running back for, I think it was Green Bay paid for. Some cracking players out there. So I'm looking forward to the free agency. I think we're going to see big movement, and hopefully my Chargers can pull their thumb out and get some great players. We've got a brilliant salary cap this year, so I hope to see some good wholesale changes on our side. But let's jump into the card then. We're going to start off at the bottom, work our way up. Again, if you liked what we did before in the past, where we did the main card first and then the prelims, feel free to comment. We're going to start off bantamweight division. I'm going to do the structure that I have before me. It could very well change come fight day. Mario Bautista against Trevin Jones. Will kick us off with a pick and a breakdown, bro.
Hey, I like the fight. Like, I've got my eyes on this Mario Bautista guy because I think he could end up being a very good fighter. I actually think he could potentially be ranked one day. I think still very, very young in his kind of MMA career, only like 8 or 9 fights. Comes from a great camp there. Still only 26, 27 years old. So I don't want to say he's super young, but he's been around long enough. came in there short notice. You can't really count that one L because it's against the guy that is literally in the top 3 of that division right now. So he came in there short notice. But his last 2 fights, I've been thoroughly impressed with what I've seen from Mauro Bautista. I think that he's dangerous. He's explosive. He's got a lot of output. He can put it on you. So, when I look at Trevin Jones, I think, right, how does this guy match up a little bit? He's a southpaw, so that could maybe give him some problems there. He can have a little bit of volume, but I still don't think when I look at some of his fights that I've watched, it's like he's got. I watched some of his losses there where I'm like, that shit's not really going to stay around in the kind of UFC for too long. But obviously, you can make big jumps in that spot. Some of his losses are very, very close split decisions as well. I like this Bautista kid. I think he's very explosive, a lot of power. I think he plants his feet. I like him here to win. I actually think he could win this one in the first round. So I'm going to go a knockout in the first 2 rounds here. I think that he catches Trevin Jones with something explosive and puts him out cold. So I've got Mauro Bautista to win the first fight of the night.
I've got to say, Mario and Trevin's going to be a fight that I see Mario getting a lot of success, bro. I thought Trevin is a wicked little punching bag. The Teamer fight, I couldn't get my head around how many punches that kid was taking, how many strikes he was taking more than anything. The lack of counter striking, etc. Could have been the first round jitters. It could have been any number of reasons why he was performing the way he was. Obviously, got the stoppage there. I think one of the things that got that stoppage for him was Teamer got that first round of just Christmas presents of landing strikes at will. He kind of let his guard go and just didn't think that anything was going to happen in the second. And Trevin just literally whip out that haymaker to put him to sleep. Well, to rock him on his backside. I kind of think if Teamer was a bit more knowledgeable in the fight game and went, I'm going to still be as cautious as I was in the first round, he probably would have picked Trevin apart, maybe even stopped him later on in that fight. I wasn't overly impressed by what I could see of him. Like you said, Will, there are holes in his game, big time, especially on the feet. He does seem to have a bit of power, and if he can plant his feet. I thought Mario looked really good in his performances in his last couple of fights. That flying knee and punches on Miles Jones was just sexy fighting there, and it was a lovely stoppage that he performed. But he looked, obviously, in the Jin fight, that he was just getting his feet under him in the UFC then. And the Corey Sandhagen fight didn't go his way, but the Jin fight, he just looked like he was getting his kind of rhythm going. Nice solid 3 rounds, looked really well solid in that fight. The Miles Jones fight, I thought he just let go. I thought like he could release a bit more then, and he did. I think we might see the same again, bro. I see Mario he's fast, he's got power. I think we can see something again, maybe second round stoppage or even first round stoppage of Trevin Jones. I'm questionable on Trevin Jones being in the UFC. We'll see what happens, obviously, but I'm same as you, bro. I'm going towards Mr. Trevin Jones there. Next up, we have in a lightweight division. Interesting matchup. I like the fight itself, and Will is a fan of it too. Now, don't get me wrong. His name's funky. Uroš Medić. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, Will. I'm sure it's totally not that, but we're calling him Uroš Medić right now. And Aalon Cruz. Aalon. Will. Aalon, oh man, how bad was it? The fight against Spike Carlisle, it was just, it was like a weird kind of takedown gone wrong, gets mounted and pummeled to the ground. It was just, I kind of felt for him in that. I just thought, you know what, that is MMA. One mistake, one small mistake, and that is it. You lose the fight. And I felt rough on because I thought, you know what, Spike just kind of got gifted that ground and pound win, which, Will, what's your thoughts on Spike getting cut anyway?
I think they should have kept him around for one more at least. But I don't know. I think that I don't know. It's one of those guys. I think I'll give him one more shot, but I actually think he could be one of those guys that goes over. He wants to go to Japan, I think it is. Yeah. Where he could be a very popular fighter in Risen if they match him up correctly over there, and the way he is, and he's just awkward. I think that I think it's a little bit premature. I think he probably deserved another shot, but I don't make the business decisions at the end of the day. So, but it's a shame that he's gone because I think he could have gave us some more exciting fights.
Yeah, and you got to look at Cruz's physique as well. Like, look at his body. Like, he's tall, long. Like, he's a dominating physical presence in that cage. He looks confident. He has got the standard tall guy defense of the lean back, but he's got nice body kicks, front kicks, and he just has a presence when he's in there. The Steven Nijin fight was insane. That fight and that Dana White Contender Series, those guys, the pair of them, they really went to town on each other. And that stoppage in the third round, do that in the first round is good because you're full of energy, but do it in the third round, that was impressive as well. Maybe had a little tell, maybe saw that he kept bobbing his head down a little bit. I thought that was good fight IQ there. Uroš, though, watching that guy on, like, he fought on, you got to remember, he's fought on Alaska FC. Some of the guys he fought, let's say, probably aren't overly impressive, let's put it that way. The Alonso, mate, oh, man, that Alonso fight was, what was that, Will? That was an absolute mockery of them. I couldn't get my head around it. I thought to myself, how's that Alonso got that record? He's gopping. The kid was woeful, shooting in for, like, awful takedowns. I couldn't believe how bad the takedowns were. And he was just scared to punch, scared to fight. It was just strange. And then he fought, and to be fair, like, he did beat Mickey on Dana White Contender Series, so I can't take that away from Mickey Gonzalez. But I think it's going to be a hard fight for Uroš because it's a hard one to judge him during his Alaska FC time because it's hard to really judge fights from that promotion. I don't think there's the greatest amount of talent there. I'm going to go to Aalon Cruz in this one. I think the guy's he has got a really good potential high ceiling here. He's got a good skill set. If he can kind of brush that off, I think he could be a danger to a lot of guys. So I'm actually swaying towards Cruz here for the victory. That's my thoughts on this one, bro.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a rough time with this one because when I watch Medić, I think that obviously you look at his caliber opposition and it's not great at all. I don't even think he's fighting the Dana White Contender Series. I don't think the guy he was fighting there was all that great, even though he had a 7-1 record, a 7-0 record maybe at the time. But the guy's humongous for that division. He's 6'1", and he is big. I mean, Aalon Cruz is big for that division. He's big for, and he was a featherweight before, so he's moving up to 155. Cruz here, I think if he was to wrestle, I would be a lot more confident, but it's not something that he's overly shown in his career. Because I do think he has an advantage there, and you've seen if you watch, I think it was the Jason Flowers fight with Medić. I mean, he gets it's like a German suplex, but then he makes a bad decision, and then he gets submitted off his he gets submitted via triangle. So this guy can be, I think, beaten with the wrestling, but Cruz might just not kind of go for that. That's my kind of worry with this fight. The fact that Medić has actually got out of Alaska, he's not training in Alaska, so he's went to a decent gym. He's been at King's MMA since I think late December, early January. With Marvin Vettori, I think he's moved in with Marvin Vettori. He's been doing bits with Benil Dariush, so he's been fighting with and sparring with legit guys, Gaslam as well. So his striking's legit. His striking is very, very aggressive. That body kick that he has is wicked. And if he whips that around a couple of times, you're in deep shit. So, but he's still only 6-0. And these Dana White Contender Series, that either, for me, they're feast or famine. A little bit, you'll get them where they're not so great, and then you'll get them like Ronnie Lawrence last week, he looks like a special kind of talent going forward that's going to win fights with the skill set that he's got. He reminds me of Bryce Mitchell, where he's just dominant in the grappling there, where he could have, and he never stops either. So, really struggling with this one. Honestly, I've been going back and forward all day. I've been watching a couple of fights of either guy, and I think I'm going to lean Cruz, but zero confidence, honestly, in the pick. Medić, to me, like I say, if he's made it, the fact that he's been at King's, coming from where he's coming from, he can make massive improvements. This might be one of these fights where it gets to Friday and I've completely changed over to the other side. And I don't do that often, but I'm going to go Aalon Cruz. But like I say, I'm not confident in the pick.
It is one of those awkward ones where he's went to the new gym, but it's a bit early in the time he's been there. You know, because you got to remember, if he, like say, he went there early December, he's kind of almost been fight camp, so he's not been learning. He's been doing more getting ready for a fight and learn. They're two different types of training camps, two types of periods of time. When you're fighting, you kind of got to focus on the fight. You do a little bit of learning, but most of the time you kind of just sticking to what you got in your arsenal. And then when you're not got the fight, that's when you can start to add to your game, like you say, Will. And I'm sure after this fight, being at King's MMA, if I was him, I'd take 6 months off if I could. Get a good 6 months under my belt with King's MMA. Then you'll see the progression. Because we've seen, like you say, Will, Beneil's striking come on leaps and bounds being with them. Kelvin Gastelum, Fabrizio Verdum as well. Like, there's a handful of guys in that gym who weren't always great at striking, but developed insanely good striking. And then if you've got the likes of Verdum and Beneil there, their grappling credentials speak for themselves. So you're going to get good with the grappling. You've got no choice with guys like that. So, yeah, it's a great place to go to. I can see the comments there. Sorry, JRMMA said, had to watch Bautista open up at -130. However, being in the UK, I got -220.
Yeah, they were slow getting the lines out on that one, and now
we got stung.
So, yeah.
Shocker. You might want to get a VPN set up or something and get over the US side. And Daniel Edwards as well. How's it going, my friends, as well? I forgot to say. Medical day. Not impressed at all by Cruz. Fair enough. Not impressed. Daniel, I thought that saying like a 10 series fight was pretty good going, mate. I thought it was entertainment value, but like you say, it's a personal preference on what you see, bro. We're going to go next up on to, man, what a fun fight this is, Will. Welterweight action, Sean Brady against Jake Matthews. I feel like this is a great test for both of them because it's a good step up for both guys. I think the guys they were fighting of recent times, Will, were just a little bit below their skill set. I think this is well matched on both of them. What are you looking forward to, bro?
Yeah, a fun fight. Both guys, I mean, you look at Jake Matthews now, he's still only, I want to say he's 26, 20.
About 22, 21. Feels like he's such a kid.
So, he's literally, most of his career's grown up in the UFC. So for someone like Sean Brady to get someone like that after the 3 fights that he's had, I mean, he had a couple of guys there. I mean, his first fight was against Court McGee. And that's a kind of, I don't want to say his name value, but it's a guy that's been around the UFC. He won the Ultimate Fighter. Nardiev came in there with a lot of hype there, and he derailed that big time. And then that was just a beautiful submission that you've seen. He's a very technical grappler, very, very good. He's like, you can see he works in his game very, very hard. And his striking's not bad either. He's a really good prospect at 12-0, I think he is, 13-0. And then you're getting Jake Matthews here, like I said, that's been around the UFC for a long time, 17-4 record. And like I say, most of those fights are in the UFC. So he's been in the UFC since 2014. So he's coming on 7 years, and that's a lot of experience to accumulate, especially some of the guys that he's fought. I mean, you look at James Vick, you look at Kevin Lee, Li Jingliang. He's been in there with ranked guys at points of his career, and very early on as well. So he's coming off 3 wins over Rostam Akman, Amel Mek, and then he beat Diego Sanchez, which is, 2020, I suppose. But again, a guy you've got in your record that you say that you beat. So, and really he just picked him apart at distance and really just had his way with Diego Sanchez. And the Amel Mek fight, he mixed up. He went for takedowns. Amel Mek's known for not having the greatest takedown defense.
Has he got it, has he?
No, I know, very little, unfortunately. But and then you've got the Jake Matthews one where the Akman one where he kind of used his striking again. Sean Brady's not going to sit there and go tit for tat with Jake Matthews. He's going to get go for takedowns. It's plain and simple. That's what his game plan is going to be, and he can be taken down. You've seen Bojan Velickovic getting back down in the past, Andrew Holbrook. But again, we're going back 5 years with stuff like that, and he has definitely jumped up a level. His game, his body, his physique, his fight IQ, I think, is a lot better. So this to me is a very, very tough fight, but I am edging on the Sean Brady side. I think that this might be the coming out party for him. I think this might be the one that kind of really throws him out there and beating an established guy. I mean, you can beat your Christian Aguileras and you can beat people like that. Ismail Nadev, who's no longer in the UFC. But when you're beating a guy who's been in there for 7 years, multiple wins on a 3-fight win streak now, and still he's probably not even hit his prime yet. I think this could be the coming out party for him. So I think it'll be tough. I don't think he'll stop Jake Matthews. I think he has a possibility to, but I think this is going to be a hard-fought 15-minute win for Sean Brady. I think he just mixes it up a little bit more. I think his grappling is probably just going to win him this fight. So I've got Sean Brady via decision.
I can't remember where I saw it. It's going to bug me, but I saw like a little fact about Matthews as well, where his wins in the UFC, based in like Australia, New Zealand, outside when he's abroad, let's say away from home, it doesn't fare too well. Now, obviously, you can take everything like that and pinch of salt, so to speak, but you have to look at little things like that because travel is a big factor. You know, traveling around is maybe a factor that plays a part. JRMMA here took a 1.5 unit shot on Matthews at plus 240. That's good, isn't it, man? Thought that line was a bit disrespectful. I am with you. I think that's a bit of a high line. I agree on that one. Trends say that Matthews gets the upset. UFC vets seem to be turning back these prospects. Yeah, Strickland, Dick Rico KO wins come to mind. Okay, yeah, Daniel and JRM, mate. I lean Brady, but Matthews at plus, yeah, to me is an instant bet. From a betting perspective, I can see where you come from. Dog money's always a good one. And Jake Matthews has shown good card. I say goodwill. He's a good fighter. He'll fight for your money. He'll put in those grappling aspects where even when he's tired, he can somehow win the grappling side of things when you've seen him in some of his fights, even when he's having a rough time, but he's fighting a guy, like you say, Will, before. Sean Brady's a really good technical grappler. When he's on the ground, it's really dangerous. And he has shown that outside of the UFC as well as in the UFC. Sean Brady is a kind of tried and tested guy on the regional scene with some good fights. CFFC is a solid fight, and so is LFA. Two good promotions. And he'd done well in that side of things. Like, he fought Colton Smith as well on the regional scene. I know he was in the UFC, wasn't exactly the best kind of fighter, but he fought anyway in the UFC. The Court McGee fight was a good one. I thought Court McGee, I'm not saying Court McGee's like Jake Matthews will, but Court McGee has similarities in Jake Matthews where he's a decision guy, he's a bit of a grinder, can get out, and Sean did well in that fight on his debut. I think Sean Brady here can have a good time. If the fight goes to the ground, even if Jake was to initiate it on the grappling aspect, it might actually not go well for Jake in that sense. I've got to be honest, beating Diego Sanchez in 2020 ain't nothing to write home about. Beating Mech, if you take him down, he loses the fight, as we saw. Ackman was a good, okay win. Ackman wasn't anything special in my opinion either. I just feel like sometimes when Matthews gets a guy who's got a really good skill set or a good an area about them that's really good, he sometimes falls short. Like you said there, you got the Rocky Martin, you got the Kevin Lee, you got certain guys who sometimes can just get the better of him. I'm going to go with Brady as well. I think he might just have a little bit of je ne sais quoi about him and have a bit more. I don't know what the betting line is now, bro. I don't know if it's still plus 240 and make him. I would have said like. No,
it's lower. It's lower in the UK than that. It's like.
That's cool.
I think he's minus 200-ish. So the money's coming in Matthews, which is fair enough at that odds. So yeah.
BP, how you doing, bro? Good to see you. Yeah, if I'm honest with you, my friend, it's I finished work. I literally just came home and just put all the setup together, and I didn't. It's not a fit. It's not like I'm making the effort. Well, I'm making an effort for you, obviously, everyone. But it's not like I just come from work, got my coat on. I couldn't even bother to take my coat off. I literally just got everything sorted. So yeah, I'm not. It's like I'm on a promise or something. Look, next up we have though. I'm going to Brady as well, bro. I think he can get the job done. I think Brady's a wicked all rounder. Light heavyweight division, Will. We've got, here we go, Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Okay, that's the last time I'm saying that. Get it once, and that's all you're getting. Against Carlos Ulberg. Now, on the outside of it, you look at this and you go, what? That's nuts. A guy's 3-0, coming in, UFC, blah, blah, blah. But it's the background that Carlos has that kind of got him into. He's got like a bit of a boxing background, apparently. I don't know how much of an in-depth boxing background he's got. I haven't looked too much into it because there's no point in looking at a boxing guy because it's not boxing, it's MMA. It's like Rosenstruck, he's got wicked hands, but if you can't defend a takedown, there's no point in being a mixed martial artist. So there's only so much you want to look at it. But to be fair, he did in his Dana White Contender Series fight when he fought Bruno Oliveira. Bruno was so aggressive in that fight, just did not hold back on for him. He kind of invited the kind of stoppage. He got stopped because It was just it was on a plate for him. It reminded me, Will, of the OSP Metafield knockout. You know, the aggressive behavior coming forward, just a simple counter attack kind of thing. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit when I watched it. But so it's hard to get a lot out of his fights when you've only had 3 fights. It's not easy to get a lot out of it. And considering that he fought in 2011 and then 2018, then 2020, it's even harder to get a read on a guy in MMA because he fought exactly on the Australian fight scene and MMA as well. So that's not a lot to write home about. Kennedy, though, looking at him, you know, he's had a couple of fights in UFC now. The Paul Craig fight, I think, you know, it's not rocket science. Just don't go in his guard and you're all right. Darko Stosic is a simple one. As long as you're not within 30 centimeters of his reach, you're fine. You're not going to get hit because he's only got a 30 centimeter punch range, and that's all Stosic can do. And then he has to huff and puff and then go again. That was it. That was an easier fight. But I tell you what, their balls must have been killing after that fight. The amount of times they kicked each other in those nuts. Woof. Derek Lewis must have been feeling sorry for them. But I'm a bit stuck on Kennedy and myself because I feel like he's huge, big frame, long body, got good. Like he's got potential striking, but Carlos could just maybe outbox him in here in this fight. Like Kennedy, I don't know if he's going to go for takedowns. I'm not sure if he is. If he's going to try and engage the grappling, bro. I'm a little bit stuck on this because I'm not sure how to read it. Daniel here, I'm backtracking on Medić, but Ulberg all day, yeah. Nzechukwu will have to have improved a lot to get a win here. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm kind of going for Carlos as well, even though there's not a lot on him for an MMA perspective. I just feel like he's got those hands and that power in his hands that I feel like Kennedy's maybe quite not. I don't want to say an inexperienced striker. He overextends a little bit, reaches out a little bit for his strikes. He is hittable there for the shots. Like, I'm not being funny. Stosic was able to close him down, get close to him, and keep the fight tight. Kennedy should have been keeping a little run like him on the end of his punches all day long. Stosic, he should have been like a little dwarf holding him away with his hand. I couldn't quite get that. Like, how is Earth was Stosic able to kick that high to Kennedy's ding dong? I don't know, but he was able to do it anyway. But I'm definitely going to go with Carlos here. I'm going to go for the guy who's up 3-0 in MMA to get a win in the UFC on his debut. So we'll see what happens. Will, who are you picking?
Yeah, like I say, it's one of these fights I don't really want a hell of a lot of kind of action on, really, to be honest with you. I haven't seen enough of Ulberg to really make a kind of concrete decision on what he is as a fighter. So I've seen his MMA fight. I've obviously seen the Dana White Contender Series fight where he smashed Bruno Oliveira, who I think is a lot older, and I don't think he was as fast. And I think the speed and the power really got to him with that knockout. But like I say, I'm kind of scared of fights like these for the simple reason that Kennedy's been away for a while now, and you have to think that a guy that kind of has the frame that he has, the height, the kind of tools that he has, that he'll start to put it all together, because he hasn't looked like a UFC kind of caliber fighter since he's been in the UFC. But he's got a reach advantage here. I definitely think that on the feet he can kind of keep it competitive. I think the speed is not comparable, though. I think the speed is definitely on the Ulberg side. And like I say, he's only had a couple of fights in MMA, so it's still kind of a big learning experience for Carlos here. So, like I said, I don't really want much action kind of on the fight. I want to see kind of more of both guys and see where they're at right now. I'm looking forward to seeing if Kennedy's made any improvements. I mean, he's got half-decent guys that he's sparring with down there in Texas, with Brian Spann and Mohammed Usman and what's the other guy I'm thinking of? Uriah Hall. So he's got good looks down there to kind of help him in different areas, but he still just might be too green at this point. But then Carlos on the other side might be like that himself. So I'm going to lean Carlos, but this is one I'm kind of going to dig in a little bit more and listen to some interviews and maybe try and find some more footage on Carlos and then kind of make a concrete decision. But again, a fight I won't be putting any of my money on. If it was, I'd probably be in the dog side. But like I said, I really don't want to have my money riding in this fight. So I'll pick Carlos. I think he's got the potential to stop this fight, potentially get a win via knockout or whatever it may be. But I've got Carlos to win the fight regardless. So
Yeah, Daniel making a point there. He's, Ulberg faces a specialist in wrestling. He'll have a tough time. Very well could be the case, and that's what I mean. The light heavyweight division, there are guys out there who could be an absolute terror for him. So it could be a case he'd be like Go Kinsaki, wicked on the feet, on his back. He's not going to be too sharp on it. But we're going to go next up to a interesting matchup, Will, because I think there's quite a bit right on it for one more gentleman than the other. Flyweight division, you've got Tim Elliott against Jordan Espinosa. In fact, maybe both of them are on a kind of knife edge here. I feel like if one of them were to lose, it might be their pay slip time for them. But Will, what are you looking at on this one, bro, and who are you picking?
Yeah, it's another fight that I don't think I've got a particularly great read on. There's fights on this card I feel I've got a fantastic read on. And then these early ones, it seems like I really don't. To me, this is one of the... I've kind of bet on both guys in different spots of their careers. And I bet on Jordan last time against David Dvorak, where I thought he could do enough. And he really wasn't at the races in that fight. So I've kind of backed off him in this spot. Like, I mean, he's very explosive, very athletic. I think he's got opportunities to counter-strike someone like Tim Elliott because I think he is very, very hittable, very wild, and he will make mistakes, and he will go for takedowns. Espinosa, to his credit, kind of has got some fairly decent hips, and he can stop takedowns and he can get back to his feet. And he will want to keep this on the feet, where I think he's a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more technical, probably has more power. But then you've got the kind of veteran savviness of Tim Elliott. Like I say, he's a wild bastard. He really is. He just comes forward and he's swinging weird shit and just looking for takedowns, looking to advance position, just looking to really put it on you a little bit. So, but I think he's kind of at his last days within the UFC. I'd be surprised if he loses this one and maybe lose another one. I think that'll be the end of his days. But he is coming off a win. He beat Ryan Benoit where he outstruck him, got a takedown in there. It was a typical kind of close-ish flyweight fight, but he was the deserved winner in that spot. Then you look at, like I say, Espinosa coming off that David Dvorak loss there, where David's actually turned out to be a very, very good fighter, a very clean striker. And I am a little bit worried that someone like Tim Elliott could maybe drain the gas tank of Espinosa a little bit. And I think if he does that, I think he will have opportunities to maybe get him to the ground, move to side control, start to kind of rain ground and pound. But I can see Espinosa somehow getting back to his feet. I'm going to lean Tim Elliott, not the biggest amount of confidence in him because it's Tim Elliott, but my pick's going to be him regardless. I think the line's fairly close. I think the line should be a pick 'em, and I think that's where it'll be. It's like I say, if you've got a good lean in the fight, go with it. But I'm going to go with Tim Elliott, even though probably the wrong decision, but it's what it is. I'm picking Tim for the win.
It isn't an easy pick, bro. Yeah, because it's Tim Elliott. You don't know who you're getting. You can get Tim Elliott on a good day and you get him on a bad day. And one of the factors is that leg injury where he blew out his knee. I think it was when we saw him in Liverpool, and everything after that, he was recovering from that injury. He's 34 as well. Don't forget, he's a flyweight, so he's in the division that you don't want to be old in. That's not when you start hitting. You don't hit your prime in the flyweights when you're hitting your mid-30s. That actually starts to be when things start slowing down for you, and you can't be slow in a division that's based upon speed and agility. That's what that division is all about. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think the cardio is ever going to be a problem with Tim Elliott. I've never really seen too much of a problem. He had that one fight where he's seen the gas in the first round, and second round he just couldn't pull it together. I can't remember who that was now off the top of my head. Who the hell was that? Was that Brandon Royval fight, was it? Or it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Brandon Royval fight where he gassed in the second round. He looked exhausted. I think it was that fight, yeah. Man, Espinosa, he nailed it well. He's explosive, but has he got 3 rounds of Tim Elliott pressure? Because that's all Tim Elliott does. He just can't. If you've got a good solid base of skill set of footwork and countering, you can kind of work out Tim Elliott. But when you're Espinosa, I thought the David fight was a kind of not a red flag, so to speak, but it was a good indicator. Like I thought that the work and the output that David put onto Espinosa, he just kept it consistent for the three rounds, and Espinosa just found that hard work Tim Elliott again. He's going to be weird striking. Let's not beat around the bush here. It's not going to be an orthodox kind of striking. Aspects of the grappling. Espinosa is going to have to do defender takedowns, scrambles, and the striking bit. If Espinosa puts him to sleep, well, fair enough. But I'm kind of going towards the Tim Elliott side a bit, only because of the cardio, the output. I found with the David fight, maybe Tim Elliott's not going to hit as hard as David did, but on a judge's scorecard, if you're landing more, they kind of tend to get the win anyway. So I kind of would go decision to Tim Elliott. But either way, I'd be surprised if either one of these guys, whoever loses, sticks around in the UFC. So yeah, I'm going to go with Elliott as well. Will it's not if Tim Elliott doesn't turn up though, we'll be eating our words. So let's go to the women's strawweight division. Interesting matchup. We've got Renata Souza against Amanda Lemos. Souza, Invicta FC, badass. Let's put it that way. The girl is. I like her as a fighter. I do. I think she's a wicked addition to the kind of roster. I think she's got a solid skill set. She's got good striking in it. She's not got great striking, but she's got solid basic striking. She can hold her own on the feet. There's obviously one destination that she has in mind, and her destination is to get you down to the ground if she can, because she wants to get ground and pound or submission, and I do not have a problem with that. The Ashley Yoder fight, that was awful. Oh, I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of Ashley Yoder. I think she's just gopping, absolutely gopping as a fighter. I was happy when Andrea Hill and her got called off because I thought we don't have to waste 15 minutes of our lives. But anyway, they're obviously keeping Ashley Yoder for aesthetics as long as they can. And like Rachel Ostovich, they'll get rid of it. But yeah, the Van Buren fight was one that caught Souza off because Van Buren was just so aggressive, and especially because she's got that grappling heavy top game. All of that combination of everything, Souza couldn't handle something like that. She's fighting a girl in Lemos who I don't mind as a fighter either. I think the girl's got some cracking skill sets about her. We saw her in Glasgow. It was Glasgow we saw her, yeah. I just have to remember where the heck it was again. When she fought Leslie Smith. And to be fair, that's a hard fight for your UFC debut, is Leslie Smith, because she's just a veteran of the game and she knows what she's doing and she's tough. You know, she's a hard character to fight. But Lemos was landing some heavy shots. If I remember, was it the first round she was landing them? That was crazy. Then the second round Leslie Smith kind of went into zombie mode and came back and got the W. But I think Leslie Smith was a bit swollen in the face afterwards, in the back when we were at the after get together party, so at the hotel. But Miranda Granger, good win for Lemos, get a submission as well. Kind of let Souza know that she's not going to be any slouch on the back. But the Inoue fight was a good one for Lemos. Great output, good control of the fight. Really, really showed dominance there. I thought she's kind of got a rhythm in the UFC. I'm not a big fan of the lack of availability of Lemos. 3 fights in the past 4 years. You've got to start be questioning that a little bit. You can't be so irregular with your fighting. You need to have a bit of consistency. I know we've got COVID for, let's take off the first half of 2000 away, but even still, I think Souza, she had an active kind of 17, 18, 19, 20, got a UFC debut, but then she had one fight really. So I'm a bit torn on this one, bro, because I think that if Lemos can avoid the takedowns, she should actually get Souza away in this fight with the striking, beat her on the feet. I'm going to go Souza. Why? No. Do you know what, bollocks? I'm going Lemos. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go crazy with a Lemos win. Because I don't think Lemos is going to get knocked out. If she gets submitted, she gets submitted. But I'm not too. This is a pick I'm not overly confident with, bro. I'm going Lemos. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I've never, like I say, I can see VPs and he's so high on Souza, and I've never really been, even through her Invicta days when she was smashing some of those girls up, I've never been overly high on her. But I think this is I'll put my hands up. This is a fight I've not really looked into except for one fight in either girl. And like I say, it might be one of those things where I go through the week and I'll watch a little bit more if I've got the time to. But I'm kind of thinking this is not a bad style matchup for Lavinia Souza. I think that she can get takedowns here. I think that Lemos can get takedowns, but I mean, you're talking about that Smith fight, but that was like that was at bantamweight. This is at strawweight now, so she's facing smaller girls. I think that I don't know what it is with this one, but I feel that Souza, especially at the dog odds, that she's a big underdog in this fight.
Oh,
I'm thinking,
I haven't seen the odds, so I don't know.
She is a bigger underdog than I thought, and all the money's been coming in Amanda Lemos. So
wow,
I don't know why it's like she's plus 175 in America. I can't remember the odds what she is over here, but plus 175 is pretty high in my opinion. I think the line should be a little bit closer match than that. Maybe she should be like down there. I think that maybe Souza should be not a favourite. It might be a kind of pick and fight, honestly, but I think at that odds, if you want to bet a decent dog who could come through here, I think that she could, because she's like pretty nasty, got decent ground game. You watch the Frota fight, that's the fight that I watched, where she got those takedowns. If she can get takedowns and get into positions where she's the domineering force in that position, then she will, I think she can win at least 2 rounds here. But I think this could become a little bit of a clinch fest against the cage. I think both can get tired. So I'm going to lean Lívia Souza, but like I said, I need to watch more, and I might be missing out on a potential good kind of dog spot here. But like I said, I'm going to pick up, but I need to watch more. There's just been more fights in this card that have drawn my attention more than this one, so I'll take Souza for the win.
You got Daniel mentioned there about David would destroy Elliott. He's avoiding the fight as well. JRMMA got to take Elliott, especially at dog odds with the line improving. Let's see. BP said about Souza there as well, bro. Elliott got dropped by Askarov. He did get dropped, mate. He did. That was, and like I say, it all starts to come through, especially the way Elliott fights, mate. He is susceptible. He does get hit a bit. BP Souza opened as a minus 210 and is now plus 165. Yeah. Wow. That's some shaking on the line there. That's nuts. Souza and Aalon Cruz are the best underdogs on the early prelims, in my opinion. I would not know because I've not seen the odds, brother, so I haven't got a clue. But look, let's go to the next fight. Again, this fight card is stacked. We're not even getting to the main card yet. Rodrigo Bontorin, Kai Kara France will take away this in fun little flyweight fight as well, bro.
Yeah, I really like this fight. I really like Bontorin. I don't know really why either, because I think he's had, I don't want to say he's had a bad kind of UFC career, but I think it's been a little bit sketchy. And I've kind of been burned in a couple of spots by him as well, because I think I bet Paiva in their fight there, and then he got that win, obviously, with the cut and everything. But I definitely bet him against Ray Borg. I thought he was going to come in here, he was going to stifle takedowns and keep it on the feet, because when he's on the feet, he's got massive, massive power, and he's got really good submission skills as well. So he's overall a pretty good fighter, big for flyweight as well, big, strong, kind of farm boy. But and Ray Borg, like, he could not stop a takedown to save his life and just got grappled into oblivion. So, and then you look at Kai Kara France. Well, he's definitely not going to do that. He's definitely not going to grapple with it. He's going to sit there and he's going to use that technical striking that he's got. And I mean, he is a really good, beautiful technical striker where he can put combinations and bunches. Not got massive power. He's a 15-minute fighter. Can fade off a little bit, and his 2 losses are to 2 kind of dogs of the division, Brandon Royval and Brendan Moreno. So, and like I say, he's got some decent wins in there. Tyson Nam's a decent win. I know he's not the most kind of active fighter, but he's got a lot of experience. Paiva, I think, is a good fighter in that division too. So, how this kind of plays out, I think that Bontorin can get takedowns, but I think that Kai Kara France can get back to his feet. I don't think he's one of those fighters that will be on his back for too long. I think he'll find a way to shrimp out and get back onto his feet. And like I say, on the feet, I think that initially Kai will have an opportunity to land, I think, more volume, but I think the more powerful shots coming back will come from Bontorin. But if I'm Bontorin, I think you have to mix it up here. I have to think you get takedowns. and try and land something big on the feet, because if you don't and you let him get combinations off, his speed and his choice of combinations are probably going to rip him up a little bit. And Bontorin could kind of fade a little bit as well because he is such a big guy for the division. So I'm leaning Bontorin in this one here. But again, close fight. This is what I love about these cards, that really good matchmaking, and it makes me think about things and maybe overthink things. But I like well put together matchups that are very, very close on paper. So I'm going to go Bontorin, but I could probably see a Kai Kara France there where he just lands more and maybe wins a very close, like 29-28 split decision win. But Bontorin's going to be my pick for this card.
And before we do my breakdown, bro, if you're watching, folks, give us a like. The like makes a big difference on the analytics and YouTube. So if you're streaming us right now live, please just take a second to hit that like button. Doesn't take long. Much appreciated. We love you all. And yeah, well, with the fight here we go. Daniel Edwards, I edge Bontorin in every department. Kai does good coming off losses, but I'll go Rodrigo. Yeah. In this fight, I would like to see Rodrigo incorporate a bit of grappling aspect to the game, because you feel like Kai Kara France is open to that a bit with the way he strikes sometimes, but I don't think we're going to see too much, sadly. I think Bontorin in this fight is a kind of good chance for him to counter heavy. And like you say, well, I think you might see Kai Kara France throw the higher number, but you might see the damage come from Bontorin, where he maybe sits back and waits for that Kai Kara France to just come into that range with that combination, and he just comes back heavy with maybe two strikes, maybe one strike, just something like that, and he'll start to hurt Kai Kara France with it, and that way it might put Kai Kara France off a little bit. It might make him stand off. I don't see much grappling. Regrettably, I'd love to see Bontorin kind of incorporate his grappling kind of skill set that he has got, because he has got an insane amount of submissions over the years. It's almost like he's forgot about them. It's almost like Rodrigo forgot that what got him to the dance was choking dudes, and he just kind of let that go a bit. But I would like to go with, I think the Kai Kara France is very good at being evasive for a long time, but he's not going to probably get away from Bontorin's kind of strike. And I feel like Bontorin, he's got a better all-round skill set. Not only he's got that submission, but his hands are coming together nicely. I'm with you, Will. I kind of go towards Bontorin. I'd be surprised if Kai Kara France can get the W and evade, simply by evading the strikes landing. Bontorin lands a couple. He's going to hurt him. He's going to put him off. It's going to make a big difference. So I'm going towards Bontorin as well, bro. And we have another flyweight fight. This is quite heavy. 3 flyweight fights in the UFC on card, man. And none of them are title fights, which is kind of weird. That's what threw me off. I think if you've got 3 title fights, I would have put maybe like a light heavyweight fight, women's featherweight, and like a middleweight fight. Sorry, not middleweight. Bloody hell, what am I on about? I would have put on like a bantamweight fight on, to kind of back it up. But unless they've got fighters ready to maybe step in, but it's a heavy flyweight fight. Insane matchup though. Joseph Benavidez, Askarov, mate. I'm surprised we're getting Benny back. I don't get it. I don't get Benavidez coming back. JRMM or Rodrigo by aggression. That's a good one to go for. You could call that a Bruce Buffer on the microphone. I don't get Joseph Benavidez coming back, man. What's left? Mate, is it a payday? It's got to be a payday, because I'm not being funny. When you've got a missus like that, what? I don't know why you're bothering going to work now, sunshine. There's no need for that. He's probably got expensive clothing kind of habit. He likes his fashionable clothes, so maybe that's cost him quite a bit. He has to fork out for all the clothing. But he's going against a guy who Askarov hasn't been overly impressive for me. I haven't been like blown away by Askarov. There's been moments in fights where I kind of feel like he's let slip a bit. The Pantoja fight, I thought he did well in that fight, though. I thought he did perform decent enough. Pantoja's a solid fighter in his own right. I just worry about Benavidez, bro, now, because Benavidez doesn't lose to anyone apart from people who are title holders. If you got a title, you pretty much, you can't beat you. You're his kryptonite. But if you haven't got a belt, he can get the win. He somehow has that skill set that's enough and better than what you are, but he's just not enough to be a champ. But we've got to take into account that Benavidez got cracked cracked big time in both of those fights. Jarek here we go. Or Jarek. We're going to call it Jarek, bro. If I'm saying it wrong, apologies, brother. I missed listening to you, gentlemen. Glad to be back. Epic card we have coming up. We do indeed, my friend. It is a stacked card. It is more stacked than Alonso Manafield's shoulders, mate. Absolutely ridiculously stacked. But still, well, I'm stuck on Joseph Benavidez. I think that he's a little bit too telegraphing now. He seems slower. Like, over the past, like, say, 2-3 years, you definitely see a difference in his speed going down. He's readable with his movement. He's not changed much. He ducks his head down, like I've said before in the striking, bro. I mentioned it before the first time he fought Figueiredo. The second, and I say it again, he comes in, head down, combination, and he's open to get hit. Askarov is not a soft puncher, let's say. Like said before, like Daniel said before, he put down Tim Elliott. He does crack hard. He does have a hard punch. When he fought Brandon Moreno and Pantoja, those dudes are both hard men. Those men are tough men because they're earlier in their careers. They're not as war-torn. But, yeah, Benavidez as well as Cruz. Here we go. I like Benavidez. He does well against wrestlers. Speed and reflexes are an issue. Yeah, though, yeah. It is one of those things, especially when you've been stopped twice. You can't get the title win. You're getting hurt. Can Askarov just willingly land good shots in this fight? I wouldn't bother grappling with Benavidez. I'd just strike with him because I think he's hittable. My heart says go with Benavidez because he just doesn't lose to non-title contenders and he tends to just win these fights. And it's annoying that they can't just get rid of him because he keeps winning and don't upset the misses. But I'm going to go with Askarov because I think we need him. We need Askarov to win. We just need him to win, folks. It's not like a gripe against Benavidez, but he needs to step away. It's not going to happen for him, bless him. I understand he wants to make a payday, but I'm going to Askarov, bro. I'm hoping he can do it for the sake of the flyweight division, and open that flyweight division right up.
I want to pick Joseph Benavidez so much in this fight, but it's like, I don't know. Like, these are the type of fights that he usually relishes in. So you get your people like your Alex Perez's and so on, where he runs through, where he can run through potential opponents. But once he gets that top level, I mean, he's losing. He only ever loses to top guys. And I'm not saying that, like, Askarov's not, because I think he has the potential to be up in that. I think he probably is top 5 in that division if he's fighting Benavidez right now. But I mean, it's just the amount of damage that he's taken over his career. Let's not forget that. Like, he's got a lot of scar tissue. He's been hit a lot. He's been dropped. He's been knocked out. He's been submitted. And now the fact that maybe the determination to fight for that belt is maybe deteriorated alongside his kind of health a little bit, then it's just a fight here. I'm a little bit. I feel like I should pick Joe B, but I think that Askarov can. I don't want to say. I don't know. I'm really struggling honestly with this fight because I'm thinking, right, Askarov shouldn't hurt him on the feet. He really doesn't have all that much power. But then just the amount of kind of pain that he's taken his last couple of fights. I mean, you even watch the stuff after the fights there where he's crying and stuff, and it's like, I think he realizes that the top of the division is kind of out of his reach now. So why is he staying around now? I'm probably guessing he does get paid a big fat paycheck because he's been with the WEC, he's came through the UFC, and he's fought at the kind of higher level of the division. But like I say, I feel like it should be in the Joseph Benavidez side here, but I'm going to edge Askarov. I think that he's a really scrappy dude across all aspects. And I just think that the young guys maybe going to come through here. I think Benavidez might look good in spots, and it wouldn't surprise me if I seen Benavidez maybe win a 29-28 decision. But I think as a pick, I'm going to side on the Askarov side. There's going to be no bet for me on this side or this fight. I want to see if Benavidez is still got that hunger. But Askarov is going to be my pick via close 29-28 decision there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Benavidez gets like 150,000.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which is not bad. I'd fight for 150,000, get battered for it.
It's either the Kelvin Gastelum spot or the Tony Ferguson spot. It could be that. So, yeah.
Yeah. It is. And like you say, I've got nothing against Benavidez, but you just got to question it, man. You just, like you said, well, you know it's not going to happen. What is there to do, man? Like, I don't understand if he went up to bantamweight and tried to maybe a quick shot at the title there, like trying to get a couple of wins, but I think he'd be well oversized in that division. He'd be dwarfed and he'd get mauled even worse. But we have next up in the bantamweight division is Song Yadong against Kyler Phillips. Will Kyler Phillips, interesting character against Song Yadong, who got a questionable decision win against Vera. Will, what are you going for, bro?
Yeah, this is one where I got feeling was Kyler Phillips coming into watching some fights in this one here. But again, I think he's going to be a very popular dog, and he's a guy that I actually think we need to keep a close eye on, because I do think that going forward, I think he's got a lot of skills and a lot of talent that could take him a long way in the division. Coming off that win over Cameron elsewhere, he realised, right, I can take this guy to the ground, and when I take him to the ground, I can beat him up badly, and that's what he did. Lucky that the fight kind of didn't get stopped at the end of the first. Get into the second round, as soon as he got that takedown, and it was kind of, I don't know whether Cameron Ellis just kind of gave him that and then kind of tuttled up a little bit. He didn't
look
really,
like it, didn't it?
Yeah, he didn't really look like it. Much more to do with that. And but this is the guy that he's been around for probably 4 or 5 years, so we know about him quite a bit. Came through the Ultimate Fighter as well. Comes from a great gym, training with great guys, especially in this card. You've got your Bautistas, you've got Casey Kenney, you've got Sean O'Malley that he's training with as well. So he's getting great looks in the gym, and he's like fighting at the same time. He's peaking at the same time as these guys he's fighting with. So it's just, like I say, Song Yadong, it's hard to, I mean, he went up and beat Marlon Vera, I think it was a little bit contentious there. But that was up at a division I don't think he should be fighting at. I think 135 is his division. I know it, Vera's one of those as well, but he's a guy that I think in close fights seems to get the judges' nods and rounds and so on. I mean, he's destroyed the people you have to destroy, like your Aranches and your Vince Morales and Perez. He knocked him out. Then he made the step up against Cody Stamen, who's hard to fight against anybody in that division. He's a hard guy to face. And Vera, like I say, is a really good fighter himself. I'm on the Song Yadong side. I was initially on the Kyler Phillips, and then I thought, I feel this fight's going to be really, really close. The rounds are going to be close. So I can see actually both guys win a decision. I think the more kind of well-rounded fighter is Kyler Phillips. But I think the guy with maybe the more power and maybe the better counter-striking is Song Yadong. So a lot of people are kind of off Song Yadong, and that, like, Kyler Phillips is a popular dog this week. I've seen many people betting him up on Twitter. He's a guy that everybody seems to love. Like I said, I initially was on that side, but I think I'm going to pivot over to the other side, and I'm going to pick Yadong via a decision win in this one here.
Nice, bro. Nice. You got Daniel as well. I like Song here, Team Alpha Male. Yeah, it's good prep for a fighter with the style of Phillips, plus Song has been relatively active. Yeah, it does seem like you see a lot of Yadong. And like I said, really, Tyler's got a good ceiling potential. The kid's got a good skill set. Uber confident. Like, just oozes, like, no fear, striking, etc. The Gabriel Silva fight, I kind of thought, I was disappointed he didn't get a finish in that fight, if I'm honest with you. I thought Silva wasn't that great in the fight. And then you've got the Cameron Ellis fight, which wasn't that great at all. To be fair, he was meant to fight Dana Batagrill, which would have been a shocking fight. JRM May as well, like in Song. Song he's got good cardio, he's got good chin, he's got good output, he can strike pretty quickly, good speed in his hands. He's learning all the time at Alpha Male. He's always growing. You see a little bit to add to his game when he's fighting. I think Tyler here is a step up for me, in my opinion, for Tyler. I think it's a big step up in terms of who he's fought so far in his UFC tenure. You know, if you look at who he's had to fight, and then, you know, before that he had the win in the LFA, and then before that he hadn't lost a couple of fights. So overall, he's had an easy kind of couple of wins. They're probably below his level, and he's got a test now here against Yadong. Yadong's going to be in his face a bit. He's going to throw some heavy hands. He's going to be quick and powerful, and he's going to be a tougher out for him. I'm going for Yadong as well, Will. The big thing is, like you say, the Vera fight. Got the decision. Not sure why he got the decision, but he did. The kid does enough to get wins. He looks so active. He looks so movement-wise. Looks like he's doing probably more than he is. I like Song Yadong in this one. I think he can maybe just frustrate Tyler a little bit, get that W, and walk away with it. So I'm going to go with Song Yadong. And next up we have... There we go, card back up there. I believe it's the main event for the prelims. We have Dominick Cruz against the naughty-mouthed Casey Kenney. Let's put it that way. Naughty mouth. That's what we'll use. Daniel Edwards. People are angry at Song, and they'll be angry and broke after beating Phillips come Saturday. Casey Kenney's sticking on the same card as Megan Anderson, which is going to be interesting because she probably dwarfs him, to be honest with you, in height and everything, in size. So that's going to be fun to see if they do meet up. But on a fighting perspective, Will, what are you looking at? I don't know, it's me breaking it down first. I apologize. I'll break this one down. Dominick Cruz is another one of those guys where is he injured or is he not injured for this fight? We won't know because he's always injured in some way, in some fashion. He hardly ever fights. Like, literally, it's insane. Like, since, 2010 or 2011, sorry, last 10 years. But twice in 2011, once in 2014, twice in 2016, 3 times in 2016, which is insanely active for him, and then 2020. So he's fought 7 times in 10 years. You can't be at the top of your game and be the best in the world for 10 years and think that it's not going to catch up and bite you in the ass. It will. The fight game will evolve. The fight game will get past you. Cody got him in that fight. And then obviously Henry Cejudo just... I think Henry just needed a bit of time to get him, and that's kind of what it was. He got the leg kicks were really good. 35 years old again, bantamweight division, the style of fighting that Dominick Cruz has and the joints that Cruz has, you think that doesn't work well. He doesn't have the joints to perform to how he wants to fight. But Casey Kenney is a guy, I was surprised with the matchup, to be fair. I know Casey Kenney beat Nathaniel Wood. So if we would have flipped that around, if Nathaniel Wood had won, would you have seen him fight Dominick Cruz? I would have been a bit questionable about that fight. I'd be like, I don't think Wood would beat Cruz. That's just my opinion. Then I sit there and look at Casey Kenney and think, but Casey played really, really good in that fight. Striking's come along, grappling's come along. He's got a great skill set. We won't see Dominick Cruz do that much takedown. He won't throw too many takedowns. He does throw a couple here and there, but it's not really his skill set. He likes to throw the output game. Casey Kenney, man, we need, like you said there, we need Casey Kenney to win. And again, it's not a gripe on Dominick Cruz. It's not a slight on him. It's nothing negative. We just need, at 35, you need to accept that division is going to move on. I cannot, Will, can you see Dominick Cruz beat Jose Aldo, Corey Sanhagen, Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, Cody Garbrandt again? Could you see him beat any of those 5 fighters to get to that title again?
Potentially, yeah. I think he could. I don't think he can
beat them.
I think he can beat. I think he can give them fight. I don't think he's fully all done yet. I really don't. I don't think he's
done, but I think it's a tough one to look at. I think Dominick Cruz annoyingly can beat guys like Casey Kenney, but I don't think he could beat guys like Jose Aldo. Like, man, Josie would love a fight like that because it would remind him of the Frankie Edgar bout where Josie kind of just stood there and waited for Frankie to come in range, and then that was it. Josie let go, and then Frankie just kept eating those shots coming in. I think it might be something similar. I'd love to see Dominick Cruz, Jose Aldo. I think that'd be a great fight. I'd love to see Casey Kenney win, but I don't think he will. I just think there are levels to the game. Dominick Cruz is smart. He's very evasive using the footwork. I think he should beat a Casey Kenney, but I don't think a Dominick Cruz will be a top 5 guy these days. I think because you won't see Dominick Cruz now until 2022. Don't forget, he's already had a fight. That's him done for the year. So we're not going to see him for probably another 12 months. So I'm going to go Dominick Cruz, but I'm not. it's a good chance for Cruz to get a W here. I think it's a more manageable opportunity than if he fought your Corey Sanhagens, your Frankie Edgar. That'd be a fun one to do as well, maybe. But yeah, I'm going to go Dominick Cruz, but I'm not overly confident on it. I'm not overly confident on winning because I want Casey Kenney to win just for the division.
Yeah, I really like Dominick Cruz this week. I don't know why. I think that I think you can look at a lot of things with Dominick Cruz, and are these people figuring him out? Do they know what to do to kind of stop it? I mean, and you look at like Garbrandt, that was probably a career performance. Like you probably never see a guy have a fight like that ever again against. Like he looked on that night. He looked like he could see everything coming, and Dominick Cruz really had nothing to kind of hurt him with because he's got very little power. And then you look at Henry Cejudo, was just not sitting back and allowing him to get the game off that he uses. And from there, I just think that, like I say, his inactivity is obviously, it's horrific. But that's not really on him. It's his body kind of failing him. But if he's came through a full fight camp, and I mean, this is I don't want to say this is a step down because I don't want to disrespect Casey Kenney, but I don't even think, is Casey Kenney even a ranked fighter in this division?
It's like, a step down in his opponents that he's fought.
Yeah, but
that's a better way to put it properly.
Yeah. I just still think that even though he's got a quirky style, which I think might maybe a little bit outdated for 2021, I still think he's got enough to win rounds convincingly against a guy like Casey Kenney. Like I say, I'm a big fan of the guys he's been getting ready for this fight with regarding Bautista and Kyler Phillips and Sean O'Malley and so on. The one thing here that looks to me like Casey Kenney's got leg kicks which debilitate you. If he gets any amount of them off, or 2 or 3 of those heavy, and they land, they could absolutely decapitate, I think, Dominick Cruz and stop him in his tracks. But if he doesn't, then I can see him being on the outside, being like really frustrated that he can't get in on Dominick Cruz, and I can see Dominick Cruz getting takedowns, just like those, because he's very, very good at those, getting like moving to an angle and then jumping in for very quick takedowns. Maybe doesn't hold the guys there, but again, they count. And like I say, Dominick Cruz is an underdog this week, so for me, I am 100% going to bet Dominick Cruz this week. I think the line, I don't think he should be an underdog. I think at worst it should be a pick'em. I can see why people are betting the Casey Kenney side because maybe they're thinking that Dominick Cruz is done. But I still think Dominick Cruz is really a tough fighter to get ready for because Casey Kenney's definitely not fought a guy like Dominick Cruz who's going to be on the outside using angles, feints, and just maybe all that motion maybe makes Casey Kenney kind of doubt what shots they throw or whatever. So I've got Dominick Cruz. I'm actually fairly confident he can win this here. And I've already said it already. It's going to be one of my bets this week. I'm going to bet Dominick Cruz. The line's only going up. He's plus 125. Count me in.
Well, Casey Kenney's not ranked, and Dominick Cruz is ranked at number 11 in the division. Yeah. So it's not a bad gap in matchup making because you can argue Casey Kenney's probably a top 20 guy. So 11's not a bad one to do. So here we go. Next, we actually have the main card now. Believe it or not, we actually made it somehow. We've got the main card kicking off. Is Thiago Santos against Aleksandar Rakić. Fun little light heavyweight fight. BP Schmidt Kennedy hasn't fought no one. He hasn't fought top quality guys yet. Oh gosh, here we go. Thomas Monahan, Rakić. Here we go. Bautista parlay plus 125. Nice. Phillips straight plus 155. Okay, nice numbers there. Also, it's just like Alexis Davis last weekend and Jared Gordon the week before. The vets will come through. Cruz all day. That's BP giving a shout there. So, like I say, it can absolutely happen. You just got to look at. We won't see Cruz till next year though, so I don't know who's going to fight next. I can see Rakić getting slept. Ooh, Will, do you see Rakić getting slept? What do you see in this fight, brother?
It could absolutely happen with a guy like Thiago Santos, can't it? So yeah, like you say, it's an interesting fight. As in, Rakić is getting another kind of top caliber guy here. Where, like I say, Thiago is really backs against the wall. 2 big losses. He's not advantageous age in that division. He's coming on 38 years old. 36, 37 years old, I think. Yeah, so he's not far off that. But the guy's always going to be in fights with that vicious power that he's got. And like I say, what I like from Rakić is that he's a smarter fighter than I initially kind of gave him credit for, actually. Because I thought he was a little bit of a meathead when you watch the Devin Clark fight and he's out there swinging and he's getting hit with unnecessary shots. But then he's kind of made a change around a little bit there where he's decided to use takedowns, which is smart. If you've got a little, especially in that division when you're fighting big guys that swing power, and you're not going to get too many guys like Thiago Santos who throw more power than that guy. But the fact that he's out here kind of changing it up a little bit, getting takedowns, kind of just debilitating guys on the feet, and that's what he did with kind of Anthony Smith there, where he just kind of beat him up, busted his leg up. So he's got strength and power himself. And like I say, you watch the Ledet fight, you watch the Volkan fight, he can get takedowns. I think that's an avenue here, because I think if they're going to go tit for tat on the feet, Rakić, I think he's got power, because he's a big guy himself. But I think if you're standing in front of Thiago Santos, you're just asking for it. So mix it up, clinch up, make it dirty, try and see if you can get takedowns. I'm seeing a lot of people in Thiago Alves' side here, Thiago Santos' side here. So I'm on the other side. My gut feeling's kind of with Aleksandar Rakić, but I'm like BP, like you said there, you could see Rakić getting slept. Personally, I think that Rakić closes it out. I think he kind of frustrates Thiago Santos, gets takedowns, kind of stays there longer than he has to, kind of wins rounds through that. So I've got Rakić via decision. But honestly, I would kind of like to see Thiago Santos kind of win this one, get a big win and move forward, because I think it's a kind of fresh matchup. You could put him in there with some of the other guys that are coming through that division. So I'll take Aleksandar Rakić, but not super confident.
I'm not overly confident. Like you say, BP there as well. You know, you feel like the smaller cage might have an effect, but it actually would work better for a grappler of a smaller cage, because you can get the guy down quicker and close it off. And if I'm Rakić, that's what I'm going for, brother. And I'm takedown heavy in this fight. It's 3 rounds, not a 5-rounder. You probably suspect one of the two, if they win, will get a 5-round main event next time on a fight night card. But a 3-round fight, I'm taking it grappling all day long, because it's only 15 minutes of it rather than 25. Rakić just has to kind of throw this. Well, let's not forget Rakić did that crisp combination to Jimmy Manuwa. Let's not forget that Rakić has got pop in his hands, good hands, and he can sleep people just as much as people get slept. Santos, the fight against kind of Glover really was that kind of light bulb moment. You saw Glover go, dude, I can get knocked out by you, or I could just take you down and grapple you and be top heavy and get the W. I'm going to go and take the safer option. And Santos, for me, just didn't have a lot of answers on his back. Didn't have a lot of ways of getting up. Didn't use his hips enough. No shrimping. Underhook battles, didn't win those very well. He didn't do a lot of the right things to get up off the ground. He did a lot of wrong. And obviously, don't let's not forget, when they're both in the cage, they're probably about 230. So, it's not an easy way to get yourself off anyway. So it's a tough route to go. Santos looks scary against John Jones with one leg. I can understand why people just want to get him down. And look at this. Rakić decision plus 245. That's some seriously good odd number there. I'm loving that. Hedging a single bet on Santos KO and a Rakić parlay on the other side. Yeah, it does feel like maybe Santos has that only way to win is that KO in this fight. I think people see it that way. Obviously, Yana Kunitskaya getting the win obviously does the world of good to the little power couple. But I'm going to go Rakić as well, bro. I think the kind of takedown heavy game would work well in this fight. Have a couple of strike with him a little bit, engage the striking to get him to be not thinking of the takedowns, get him down, get the W, walk away Rakić without any hurt, and you're on to a winner there, and I think he could do really well in that kind of spot himself. Next up, we have another fantastic matchup again in lightweight division. Islam Makhachev against Drew Dober. Love the fight, love the matchup. You got Islam Makhachev, who's been winning left, right, and center for the past 5 years. Hasn't fought since 2019 when he fought Davi Ramos. The only time I said to Will off air, you got to look at who he's fought since his last loss. He lost to Adrian Martins. He hasn't fought a true striker. Let's say Chris Wade, meh. Nick Lenz ain't no striker. Gleason Tebow just wrestles you for a minute, then gasses. Cajun Johnson was gopping. Armin, not a bad fighter at all. Very talented kid. A lot of potential in him, but again, very good, surprisingly good high-level wrestling. Javi Ramos, again, not really known for striking. Drew Dober, on the other hand, he is a striker. But again, Drew Dober, his kind of Achilles heel is the flip opposite. Can get taken down, could get submitted, so you got to be worried about that one. Man, for me, Islam Makhachev isn't the greatest striker at all. Like, he just swings heavy and hopes that it closes the distance. Drew Dober here has got to be really smart with what he does in this fight. He uses footwork well, distance management well, because the dude is knocked out knocked out. He stopped 3 opponents with TKOs slash KOs. So he's kind of coming into his groove. He's getting everything ticking along. And he's just coming that kind of wave of untouchable. The problem is like Benil Dariush, submission, OAM, submission. I'm sure he's working on it as much as he can, but Islam Makhachev is a nightmare with the grappling aspect. So my worry for Drew Dober is Islam could stop the fight with the grappling aspect and the fight is all over. I want Drew Dober to get a stoppage here. I want him to go and get an absolute smashing on Islam Makhachev. But I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. I just feel like he is annoyingly tough and can just get the win with the wrestling. He's just a solid kind of guy that can do that. I don't think he'd win a title, in my opinion, Islam Makhachev. I don't think he's a title contendership because there is holes in his games, and I think strikers can hurt him and will hurt him. If you get him a top 5 guy, you get a top striker, he could absolutely hurt him. But Drew Dober, don't write him off. Absolutely do not be surprised if he hurts him and puts him away, but I'll go Makhachev in this one.
Yeah, I think that the line's wide, like he's minus 335, so big favourite where they're implying that he wins more times than he doesn't. But I mean, he's got that Khabib style where he can take you down and control you, and I kind of go with, like, you watch the Sarukian fight there. Sarukian's a good grappler, and he stifled him in so many areas, and that's still young in Armin's kind of career, but he's got that there where he's trained with the best guy that I think maybe the division's ever had, and he's got a skill set which I think is but not as superior, and then for the most part that's going to win yourself a lot of fights in the UFC. Drew Dober's got great striking, really fast hands, crisp power, good technique, good footwork, good angles, can take a shot well himself, and it's just in this, like, got one of the nicest jaws I think I've ever seen in my life. It's just like a chiseled fucking jaw. It's like seeing him in Liverpool, he was like all dapper like you with your suit jacket on and just this chin. It's like, holy shit. So but yeah, grappling wise, I think there's levels. Islam is levels, I think, above what a Drew Dober is. But if Drew can stifle and stop some of these initial takedowns, then it gets interesting, because then it becomes a bit more of a striking affair. But then I can also see Islam maybe just clinching up, dirty boxing, putting him against the cage, getting those quick takedowns, and kind of winning out through that. So, like I say, if you're taking a shot on Drew Dober, I wish you all the very, very best. But I'm going to take Islam Makhachev to win via decision.
And Daniel again, intense weight cut and grappling will wreak havoc with Drew Dober's cardio, similar to the Dariush fight. Handsome don't get wins in fights, Will. Hey,
you're saying you've seen his chin as well. His chin.
I tell you what, I was surprised at his height because he's quite short. So I remember getting. I got on the elevator with him. That's what threw me, because I kind of got on the elevator and I had to look twice, and I was like going. I said, you Drew Dober? And he went, yeah, because I was well done for folks. As much as it's nice meeting fighters in person, when they've got clothes on, they don't look the same. I'm used to seeing dudes in underwear. That's pretty much. I didn't say that out loud to him. I didn't say, dude, I'm just used to seeing you in your underwear, man. But it kind of caught me off guard. Like, he's all dressed up. I just kind of had to look and go, who the fuck is that? But Judobi, yeah. Handsome man. We have next up the first of our 3 title fights. Peter Yan is defending his belt against a little guy called Aljamain Sterling. I am happy for Aljamain Sterling, though, getting his title fight. I kind of feel like he was always around that area. Pretty much should have got it. Finally got it. Mate, Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling, super awesome dude. Great guy. I hate that we've got it. And then he's fighting a kind of ex-KGB, probably savage murderer who's buried people in his backyard. But, well, what are you going to say on this one, bro? Because I love this fight.
Yeah, I've been actually saying years ago I thought that Aljamain Sterling would fight for a world title, so I'm glad that's kind of coming through. But in this division, you have to be a champion of this division, you have to be special because it is a special division. I mean, you've got Olympic gold medalists as champions. You've got guys, just great athletes that are champions. It is one of the strongest divisions that we have in the entire sport. And then you've got Peter Yan, who... For the longest time, I knew this guy was going to be a champion in a big promotion. You can never say because you never know. He might go to Bellator, he might do that, whatever it might be. But when he came to the UFC, I was like, this guy is going to win and he's going to beat the big guys at the top of this division, and he has done. And he's got a skill set. Both guys actually have a skill set which is very hard to get ready for because let's take it with Aljo. He was a grappler. Plain and simple, the backpack. He'd get you to the ground and you can't get that guy off you. He's really hard to get off you, and you just can't get him off. And he can submit. He's got great submission skills. But then you've seen the kind of evolution of his striking, and his striking is funky, like his name, like Funkmaster. He is long. He's got quite a bit of speed with his striking. He doesn't throw a singular shot. He'll throw hands and then follow up with kicks. He will throw kicks and follow up with hands. And all that really, really kind of helps him kind of disguise his grappling. And then you've seen in his last fight, don't forget about my grappling because if I get you to the ground and take that back, you're in a lot of shit. And he put Corey Sandhagen out. But I just do not see... I don't see Peter Yan getting taken down and controlled for long parts of this fight on the ground. I can maybe see it once and then he might kind of survive. But I think once he starts to find his rhythm and he starts to figure out Aljamain Sterling, then I think he's going to start making some reads, and then I think he's going to start bludgeoning Aljamain Sterling with the shots that he has. Now, he has to be careful because Aljo, he doesn't throw straight shots. He kind of slings hooks in, but he's very quick, he's very long, he's very languid. And he's just dangerous. He's a hard matchup for a lot of guys in that division. But I think Peter Yan is so smart in many, many areas of this game. And like you say, he's an assassin. He's an absolute assassin. You might take a round off him. You might kind of catch him with a few shots. But eventually, he's going to work you out. And like he did with Aldo, he started to kill that guy with everything that he had. And he doesn't throw a singular shot. He throws kicks and he throws everything. Aljamain Sterling is one of the coolest cats around. Seriously, one of the nicest guys. Really happy that he's in this spot. I would have liked it to be against a Cejudo. I might have been more on his side in that fight like that. TJ Dillashaw, I would 100% been his side in that spot. But we've did this a few times. You know my feelings on Peter Yan as a fighter. Peter Yan, I think, is going to eventually figure Aljo out. And he's going to start to absolutely wreck him in the later parts of this fight and potentially get a stoppage. So I'm big on Peter Yan this week. I think that he's going to show why he is the best 135-pound fighter in the world. And what I'm interested is, I mean, he couldn't go to Tiger Muay Thai like he usually does. And he went to American Top Team. So, like, he's not like he's kept in Russia. He decided to come to America, get some good looks, go to a great camp. and there's been a lot of shit talking with these two, so it's going to be interesting. I'm on the Peter Yan side. I wish Aljo all the best, and like you say, if there's a guy that I want to win the title in that division, it's Aljamain Sterling. But I think looking at this fight, it's Peter Yan for me. I think that he bludgeons up and rips up Aljo in the mid part to late part of this fight and wins, if not a knockout or a very, very, very big decision.
Nice, bro. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you're all tuning in. Hit the like button if you haven't done already on the video. Means a lot, like I said before, in the algorithm. So, and join in, let us know your picks for the championship fights. If you tune in, takes 2 seconds. Quick little chat there. Let us know who you've got. Daniel jumping in there. Jeez, you were that quick. Yan struggled with a taller Korean fighter early in UFC. Plus, he's not the biggest kicker. Hard to close distance on Aljo. Yeah, with Yan, the thing is, though, he has got kicks in him if he wants to use them. He's got a great little clinch game, though. Something about Yan is he's got a wicked clinch, fantastic clinch game. So if it does get to the grappling aspect on the feet, so the underhook battle and single collar ties, that's something that will be interesting to see. I think that Yan, obviously, when he fights ATT, they'll give him a lot of grapplers. You know, when you've got a guy like Mike Brown there helping you out the grappling aspect. Yeah, I'm on a desktop. Yeah, when you've got Mike Brown there with the kind of knowledge he has got, he will be throwing gold nuggets to Peter Yan on grappling, defense, what to do, where to do it, how to stop it, ways to get up. You know, he'll be having little tricks for Peter Yan, and Yan looks like the kind of fighter, I'm sure Will would agree to, that he picks things up quick and he applies stuff quick. He's got a quick fight IQ in the fight game. Like you said, Will, the Jose Aldo fight. As soon as he saw it and figured it, he applied it. And then they got the win. Aljamain Sterling is the kind of guy who he's so unorthodox and weird with his striking. You don't know what's coming. What you have to do with that, though, as a fighter, is you don't let that happen. You don't wait for him to come with his weird striking and think, what's he going to throw next? You be the aggressor. You throw the strikes to stop him throwing them. So then he'll have to come back with a counter. Now, Aljamain Sterling doesn't have unorthodox counter striking. He has built-in counter striking. So a lot of times in MMA, if someone throws a leg kick, your instant reaction, if you take a leg kick, you throw a right straight down the pipe. Or if you're obviously southpaw, you throw the left straight down the pipe. So Aljamain will have those. This is something that I think Yan has to do, is be aggressive with the offense on the feet, heavy feet, keep the stance nice and wide, throw the boxing, throw the uppercuts. Look what Derek Lewis did to Curtis Blades. You cannot not throw an uppercut. You can't leave that out your combinations. You need to throw those in to make Aljamain think. Look at Marlon Moraes. Threw it, went to throw a kick, caught him with a knee by accident, and knocked him out. Those are some things that I think you need to throw in to your mix if you're Peter Yan. Peter Yan's got cardio, he's got output. Aldo's got it, but he's like you say, he's never going to knock you out with striking. Really, he's not going to really he's not going to worry on the feet. You're always thinking, when's he going to go for the takedown? The Magomed fight outside of the UFC with Peter Yan, that's something to obviously take note at and look at. I'm sure Peter Yan's improved in areas since then. I think Bellator signed Magomed, didn't they? Magomedov. Yeah, Bellator signed him, so that's a bit of a slip up from the UFC there. Sick fighter, man. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I know we're talking about the UFC, but he's on Bellator. Check that kid out. He's awesome. But yeah, I'll go with Yan as well, because I just think Yan has got a horrendous kind of savage, dirty, sick, psychopathic way of finishing people. And I like it. Don't worry, it's sadistic, so I'm in. But he does have a way to do it. And, man, he's so good. It only took him 2 years to get that strap. 2 years to get the strap. He did like kind of similar to Adesanya. Came in, dominated, got the belt, and that's it. Aljo's been in the UFC for a while, fighting for that to get that strap. Lost a few times, fell short. Yan is just one of those dudes who's he's going to stick around for a while, hold the game, control the game. I'm going Yan as well, Will. I think he's this is probably one of his tougher tests. Someone like this, long, tall, rangy striker, wrestler. I think obviously Corey Sandhagen isn't the same kind of opponent. I think Corey Sandhagen's more of the unorthodox striker and quirky striking. But if you can beat Aljamain Sterling, you kind of ticked all your boxes. So I'm looking forward to see what Jan can do here. Same to Aljamain Sterling. Love the guy to bits. Great human being. Let's see here. Daniel Edwards. Jan hasn't shown one-shot devastation necessary in this matchup, in my opinion. He's an attrition finisher. Yeah, but he does that. He just wears you down with strikes, and it's just an accumulation. He hits you that many times, you can't do it. Think about Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping beat you with numbers. Because I don't know if you've ever competed, Daniel, in MMA or ever sparred or whatever. When you get punched, you're not relaxed. You have to kind of absorb the punch. So you're constantly tensing and flexing and absorbing. It drains you. It's hard work. It would literally be grabbing something and just squeezing. If you squeezed your hand like that for about 20 minutes, your arm just gassed. You wouldn't get 20 minutes. Do it for a minute. Just squeeze it. It's imagine doing that to the whole body, absorbing a punch, flexing. It's exhausting. And then you've got to go and push yourself to get out there. Offense, it's hard work. It's a great way to beat someone, and it's one way that Jan could do it. BP, Jan is going to destroy Sterling. I think this matchup will be similar to Usman versus Covington. Usman being Jan and Covington being Sterling. I kind of gathered that from the first comment. But yeah, I'm going Jan as well, bro. Let's go to the next matchup, which I'm sure is the people's main event. It's the fight that everyone was looking forward to when we heard this announcement. Amanda Nunes taking on Megan if you're in the UK, Anderson. Featherweight titles on the line. Amanda Nunes, champ, PvP #1, badass, hits like a freight train, can choke you out if she wants to. She's got a kind of great all-round skill set. Amanda, look at Megan Anderson. She's 3-2 in the UFC, and she beat Zara Santos and Norma Dumont to get a title shot. I mean, they're just. I don't know what to say, Will. I'm a bit speechless at this one. Don't get me. Megan could absolutely win this. Don't get me wrong, because they're both going to be in the same place, and you can win. Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey, and those odds were insane. So let's not. Don't get me wrong. Holly Holm's a way better fighter, but whatever. Megan Anderson could win. I'm not saying she can't win. I'm not going to say she can't win this fight, because anyone can win anytime. Amanda Nunes could not feel well, have a bad weight cut. She might have a bottle of wine before she goes to bed. You never know what might happen. But if we look at it realistically, Megan Anderson's going to get her head knocked off her shoulders if she stands and bangs. Or if you're Amanda Nunes, just do what you should do. You're a black belt, you're a ninja, get her to the ground, because she's got her on the ground, and just choke her to sleep. I'm going at Amanda Nunes for everyone else. She's like a -1 million or something like that. It's going to be insane, the gap between them at the start of the fight card. Let's see. So here, Megan Anderson is by Morlin. Okay, Jarek, yeah. Oh, you got Daniel trained boxing for 5 years since I've turned 30. Here we go. I'm purely a keyboard warrior now, though. Yeah, so Daniel, you'll know then with boxing, same thing, bro. It's exhausting when you're getting hit. It sounds weird. It's not the pain. It's how exhausted you are. Jarek, here we go. My Google just crashed. Looking up both of those names. Anderson. Right, okay. Yeah, Will, I've got to go Amanda Nunes. I think I'd be silly to not go Amanda. I think, who was it? Was it Die Hard MMA podcast? Said he's put an official bet down for Megan Anderson at plus 1,100. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. If you've got a fiver or a tenner, do it, because it's plus 1,100. Why not? Why would you not do it? Because if it comes in, you get a bit of money that you never thought you'd get. But for a laugh, I'm probably going to put a couple of quid on just for, if it happens, I get money. If it doesn't, it's only a fiver or a tenner. It's not a lot. But Will, are you going to tell me you're going to shock the world and pick Anderson, or you're going to go, with Nunes, bro.
No, I'm gonna tail Clint. I'm gonna tail Clint. No. Not happening. Clint's crazy for throwing money on Megan Anderson in this spot. I mean, I can see. I mean, she's a natural big girl. Like, she's a big girl. She's one that's cutting way down to 145. So she's probably running around 170. So she's a big girl. But that doesn't mean shit when you haven't got the skills to kind of really back it up. I mean, when you look at all this here, the better striker, the better grappler is Amanda Nunes. She's the best that the sport has to offer. And she's beat the best in this entire sport. So what's Megan Anderson really going to do? She's not going to get in there. And not unless you can't. I mean, it's a weird sport. MMA is an absolute weird sport at times, where all it takes is one little thing. It could be a slight eye poke or something, and then she's just absolutely banging her out with shots. So that can happen.
Like Zingano,
yeah, pretty much. So things like that can happen. I just don't see it. I mean, I think Amanda Nunes, I don't think we're going to see all that much of her kind of going forward. She's now a mum, so maybe less of this sticking around the sport. She's really cleared out a couple of divisions. There's nothing really fresh coming through. So we might not see her all too much. Maybe see her once a year or whatever it may be. She should finish her here, take her to the ground, submit her. Should be the best thing. Just take away anything that Megan has, and she does have some striking. It's not crisp enough, not quick enough to beat Nunes, in my opinion. So I've got Amanda Nunes via submission in the early part of this fight.
Nice, bro. Next up, we have the main event. Jan Blachowicz, the Polish power, is going against Israel Adesanya, stepping up to 205, having a shot at that belt. Well, it's a tasty matchup, bro. I was surprised it was happening. I thought they would have given Glover a stab at Jan because, to be fair to Glover, he has had a resurgence. He's done great to get back to where he was. I was surprised how well he did, but they've kind of went for the money maker. The guy at the moment, Israel Adesanya, is their new Connor, let's say. He's a bit of a star. He's on the Puma advert now. He's got all the gear going down. He's got the sponsorships kicking in. If they can get him as a champ, it's marketability everywhere for him. So here we go. Jarek, no real challenge for Nunes right now. Maybe a solid fight is if Pena beats home. Juliana Pena. I gotta be honest, bro. I don't agree with that one. But Will, main event, where you going?
Interesting fight. I mean, I do lean Israel, but this thing, I've kind of got a little bit of hesitation with this fight. The fact that, again, we're talking about the kind of Megan Anderson side of things, where the big guy is moving down to 205, and you're probably looking at Izzy, and he's probably a natural 185er because, like you see, he'll not. Well, in fact, it might be a natural 205er, but I think he looks right in the middleweight division. But I think the bigger dense guy is Jan Blachowicz. And I mean, the thing that I like about Jan recently is just his confidence in letting his hands go. You watch that Reyes finish, and I've watched it a few times over the last week, and it wasn't even a big shot. It was just a well-placed shot, and the natural power really took its course. But before that, he was landing some big shots himself. But when you're looking at Israel, it's like he puts the fight where he wants it, and then you've got to try and come into his realm. And there's not many guys that are in his realm of high elite, accurate striking where he doesn't have to put like big shots on you to really mark you up, but he can do that if he needs to. And like you say, the whole Paulo Costa thing, he was saying that you've got no power, and then of course he gets knocked out. And it wasn't even a flush shot either, but he was absolutely welting Paulo Costa up, whether he was drinking wine beforehand or not, before the night before. Izzy is like a general in that UFC octagon because he dictates where the fight's going and what's going on in that fight. Now, you have to be grimy to get into a fight with him and stick around like Gastelum was. Gastelum get in there, get in close and deliver power shots and hurt Izzy on a few occasions, but you have to really land something big to put him down. Jan probably has the power to do that if he lands flush because he believes in his power. It's there. We've seen it. He's knocked out champions before, and he's on a completely different level to anything I ever thought he would be. But I just think the ring generalship of Israel Adesanya is going to be too much in this. And I think that it's going to frustrate Jan that he's not getting his shots off. And I think eventually he's going to pressure himself into being too aggressive, and he's going to catch a counter shot. And Israel Adesanya, with his position, with his shot selection, can knock loads of guys out in this division. Absolutely, just because he picks his shots and he puts them right on place where they need to be. And if he does that, then he's so. I've got Israel Adesanya. I think he wins via knockout in the late rounds when Blachowicz has aggressive, and I think he comes forward and eats a shot. So I've got Israel Adesanya raising another belt for Africa, and I've got Izzy winning this fight.
It would be huge for Africa. So the only issue, I think we would have been in Africa sooner if it wasn't for COVID as well. Because you got Usman doing his thing, Izzy as well. I feel a bit hard done by for Africa. I think we probably would have had a UFC event by now somewhere like Nigeria or whatever, and that would have been absolutely crackers. Would have been insane to actually be at it as well. Me and Will definitely would have stood out, but I think it would be great to go to something like that. But yeah, Will, I'm with you in the sense of Israel Adesanya, the Paulo Costa fight. Paulo Costa landed a couple of leg kicks, but wasn't much else going on there. Like, Paulo Costa didn't really want to box much because he didn't want to let his hands go. I think one of the things that Paulo Costa remembered or realized was, look what happened to Rob Whittaker. Rob Whittaker came in, then Izzy just pop, down you go, son. That's it. Good night, sweetheart. And Izzy's so good like that. He's good at just measuring that range, leaning, popping counters, and just getting out of there, man. And Izzy will I'm not saying let you land, but Izzy's comfortable to take a couple of shots at a way that's not going to really stop him. So like he'll let the leg kicks might land or whatever, certain shots will land, and he won't mind it because that in turn entices you to want to close that distance. It'll entice you, make you want to go in there to start banging and striking. So, the Reyes fight for Blachowicz was a good one. One thing, Will, the body kicks from Jan, like the clear as day, that definitely. There is some heavy power in that because I think he only landed 2 in that first round, 2 heavy kicks, and that ribs and everything was bruised, man. So if I'm, like you say, I think it would be surprised if Blachowicz doesn't go for like a body kick to start with to try and maybe get the gas tank of Adesanya. Might be something you want to look at because Izzy's going to have the gas tank, he's going to have the speed advantage. So you've got to try and find some way to get an advantage somewhere. Power will be natural power in the hands. Heavy hands probably goes towards Blachowicz if he hits you heavy. Izzy's very precision based. I think if they were to stand toe to toe, Blachowicz might be all right with it. But how do you land that heavy shot? You got to close the guy down well. Izzy likes to get in the center of the ring so he can go and pivot round. So it's a hard one, that one. And we've got here, Jarek. I think Pena can make it a dirty fight and beat home. We never know what home we'll get. Pena would defo sell for Nunes fight with the trash talk, but who knows? Jason C, nice to see you, man. Adesanya by TKO. I think that's the kind of staple that people look at with the potential here, what he can do. And it feels like Izzy is still growing in that striking area, bro. It feels like he's getting that more and more confident with landing all the time. It seems he keeps getting evolving in that way as a mixed martial artist as opposed to being a kickboxer. Daniel Edwards, Jan's plodding footwork is an issue here. We've seen Izzy knock out cold, though, so hard not to forget. Yeah, in kickboxing, Izzy has been stopped. I think that's one of the things that's what I meant by the speed advantage. Like, how is Jan going to close that gap? I think the body kicks are a big one because with the body kicks, what he does, he throws the strike in to step in. So he moves from an orthodox to a southpaw stance to then throw the leg kick. That there in turn is 2 steps. That he might have to learn to throw a combination at the end of that with a punch to get that distance closed. But man, I got to go with Izzy as well. Will, I think he can do it, brother. I think he can get the stoppage and get the win. So I'm with you. I'm going Izzy for the win here. Maybe stoppage as well. But I would, if Jan kind of toughed out all 5 rounds, that wouldn't surprise me because we don't know what transfer of power Izzy's going to have going up that division. Where, like you said, Izzy's not going to be like 230. Jan will be 230 maybe. So there will be a difference there. So Jan might be able to absorb those punches more and maybe will be able to survive the 5 rounds in a way that Izzy maybe didn't think he would. I don't know what 205 is Izzy's training with as well. I agree. Izzy should pick apart Jan and get the KO in the 3rd. sad to make that prediction towards my fellow Polak. It's okay, brother. Look, I was going to say, Will's picked against Scottish fighters before. I've not picked against any fighters from my home country because we don't have any in the UFC and we probably never will, but whatever. Yeah, so that's cool. That's the picks, guys and girls. Again, hit the like little button there, just at the bottom of your screen. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that little like button, a little tap-a-roo. Give us your picks if you've not done already in the comment section. Will is going to throw some betting kind of lines and bets that he's put on, and maybe even throw some out there yourselves that you've put on that get in that conversation.
Okay. I mean, I think this is a good card for betting. Let's put that out there. I think that it's a really good-looking card with good underdogs that if you've got a confident stance on, then you take a shot on. And there's parlay pieces. So for me, if I can pick out underdogs and I can pick out parlay pieces to put together, that's a good week for me, and I don't have to rely on maybe having a look at props or whatever it may be. As in underdogs that I kind of like, we might get, the funny thing is, we might get Peter Yan as an underdog or very, very close to. He's minus 115. It's minus 110 here in the UK. I'm thinking about going in right now and putting money down on that and betting that. I'm going to end up betting Peter Yan this week. Dominick Cruz, I am going to bet this week. I'm actually going to go bet him in the next 10 minutes, actually, as soon as I come off here.
So what's he again? What's Cruz again? Sorry.
He's plus 125.
And has he been going, down, or has he been going up?
He's been going up. It's been the line in him's been going up, but I feel that's going to change soon. It's going to start going back down where
as fight week kicks off.
Yeah, I think by fight day, I think he'll be plus 100. If not, maybe a pick him fight. So yeah, I like Sean Brady as a parlay piece probably. I like Mauro Bautista. That's a parlay I'm looking at, is Sean Brady and Mauro Bautista. But if you're looking at viable dogs, I mean, Kyler Phillips could be one. Bontorin could be one. Lívia Souza, I think, could be one. So there is lots of options here. Adesanya could be a parlay piece at minus 230. So I've got no bet so far. I think I'm going to go bet Dominick Cruz. So I think I've made my mind up on that. I'm going to go in right now. And Peter Yan's probably going to be another bet that I make. So, yeah.
Two straight bets, but no parlays yet, because you like your parlays, bro.
I do. I love my parlays. But the parlay I am looking at is Mario Bautista and Sean Brady. But I'm still a little bit unsure with the Sean Brady one because Jake Matthews is so experienced in the UFC. So that's the kind of couple of spots I am looking at there. Good luck if you're betting anything this week, guys. Hope you'll win some money.
Yeah, like you say there, Jarek, thanks very much for listening, brother. It's a pleasure doing his videos. Me and Will love doing it. And you might be his good luck charm, man. Every time you bet against him, he wins. You never know. MD, Peter Yan versus Sterling is a pick him. Bet the fucking house on Peter Yan. MD's heavy on Peter Yan here. Look, a lot of lines going on, a lot of movement potentially this week. Dominick Cruz, like you say, Will, being an underdog, that is very tasty for a lot of people. I think if you'd be silly not to jump on that one. Parlay around, because there's fights the week after, which are sick as well. So you could always combine a couple of parlays onto next week's cards. Because me and Will obviously going to be back for the Leon Edwards against Belal Muhammad fight. Kudos to Belal stepping in. I think it's a great kind of replacement, Belal against Leon Edwards. We also got Serkinov versus Span on that card. Ulan Bekov is fighting. You got Dan Ige, Gavin Tucker. Who else you got on that card, bro? Jeez Louise, you got a handful. Davey Grant is back against Martinez. Eric Anders, Darren Stewart is going down. Don Madge, oh my word, what a fight. Don Madge against Hapras. That's sick in itself, bro. Oh, and we've got the best fight. Angela Hill, Ashley Otis finally going to happen again I'm happy with that. But look, some great fights going down, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. It's been great having you join us. Me and Will have enjoyed it. We'll be back next week for that card. We won't take as long as we will because there's not as many fights as this card. So sorry about that. But again, thanks for joining in, everyone.